In today's video, I would like to talk about the perfect. Like in English, we have 6 tempora. Present is the simple present now, and the perfect is the present perfect. Conjugation example: why is perfect easier than Präteritum? In this list here we see the conjugation of the verb kaufen in Präteritum. Ich kaufte, du kauftest, sie es kaufte, wir kauften, ihr kauftet, sie kauften. As you can see, there are 4 variations of the verb kaufen in Präteritum. Looking at it in the perfect, the partizip 2 is only one version, gekauft, independent of which pronomen we use. If you go for haben or if you go for sein, still there's only one version of the partizip 2 verb in this case. How do we create a perfect? The perfect is created with the Hilfsverb haben or sein, and it will be on position 2. Wir haben, sie sind. And the partizip 2 of the full verb, usually it starts with ge and ends on letter T or letter en. And it will be at the end of the sentence. Wir haben gekauft, sie sind geflogen. When do we use haben, respectively sein? In most of the cases in German language we use haben. Ich habe den Text gelesen. In certain cases we will use the Hilfsverb sein. For example, if there's a change of location, if the verbs are related to a motion. Ich bin gegangen. If there's a change of status, ist gestorben. And if sein is used anyway by nature in partizip 2, du bist zu Hause geblieben. Here are some examples with haben. Präsens, ich kaufe ein Auto. Präteritum, ich kaufte ein Auto. Perfekt, ich habe ein Auto gekauft. Ge and it's at the end of the sentence. Another one, Präsens, du brauchst. Du brauchtest, du hast gebraucht. Du hast einen Computer gebraucht. Here with a splittable verb and it's irregular. Ruft einen Freund an. The prefix is at the very end in presence. Präteritum, rief einen Freund an. We have a vocal change and the prefix is at the end. Hat einen Freund angerufen. The prefix is here, followed by the ge. The ge is in the middle now because this is a splittable verb. And here with a non-splittable verb, wir informieren euch, wir informierten euch, wir haben euch informiert. These iren words have no ge and they all end on letter T in partizip 2. So if you use haben and the second verb in a sentence, you create a perfect. Let's look at it with a sign. Präsens, ich fliege nach Manila. Präteritum, ich flog nach Manila. Perfekt, ich bin nach Manila geflogen. Bin because it's a motion, change of location. Geflogen at the very end starting with ge. Another one, change of location. Du läufst zur Schule. Du liefst zur Schule. Du bist zur Schule gelaufen. Now with a splittable verb. Wacht am Morgen auf. Präsens, the prefix is at the very end. Wachte am Morgen auf. Prefix is at the very end in Präteritum also. Ist am Morgen aufgewacht. The ge is in the middle because this is a splittable verb. Perfekt mit nicht trennbaren, unregelmäßigen Verben, not splittable, irregular. Sie verstirbt im Krankenhaus. Sie verstarb im Krankenhaus. Sie ist im Krankenhaus verstorben. No ge because this is not splittable. Ver never has a ge. Same here. If you use sein in the second verb, you create a perfect. Vice versa. If you do not use sein or haben together with the second verb, you will not have a perfect. The 5 basic rules. Haben wird häufiger verwendet. So haben is more common than sein. Sein we use only when there's a change of location, when there's a change of status, and if the verb by nature uses sein anyway. Third, the verb position, haben and sein, is on position 2 normally, and the Partizip 2 at the end of the sentence. The ending of the Partizip 2 usually is letter T if it's a regular verb, or en if it's an irregular verb. 5. Position of the ge, it's in the beginning of the word normally. Ich habe gekauft. If it's a splittable verb, trennbares Verb, then the ge is in the middle. Ist weggefahren. There's no ge by verbs of the ihren family. Wir haben ihn informiert. The Partizip 2 has no ge, it ends on letter T. Or it's a non-splittable verb. Sie haben das Haus zerstört. If it's one of these syllables like zer, we come to that later, they have no ge. When is a verb irregular? A verb is irregular when during conjugation there's a change in vocal. For example, essen, aß, hat gegessen. Essen, presens has letter E, aß, Präteritum has letter a vocal a, and in the Partizip 2 it's a e again. So there's a vocal change on its way, and therefore it ends on en. Laufen, lief, ist gelaufen, vocal change from laufen to lief, en at the end. Zerfallen, zerfiel ist zerfallen, we have vocal changes here, so en at the end, even though no ge, but it still ends on en. The consequence means, if the verb is irregular, its Partizip 2 will end on en, even if it's a non-splittable verb, like this. So which verbs are using sign? Here's a list of several verbs that you can check on later. I marked the vocal changes on these, and if there's no vocal change, you see them here in gray. You can pause the video later, take a screenshot and read it when you have time. So this is change of location. Now the same with change of status, a list of words. I mark the vocal changes, or even here when it has a prefix, and you can pause the video and take a screenshot and read it later. And last one, if sign is used by nature, these verbs always use sign. Same thing, you can pause the video, take a screenshot and read it later. So which verbs are splittable? These verbs, when they start with one of these words, they are splittable. The basic rule is, if the prefix alone is already a word of itself, like ab, an, auf, aus, you know those from local preposition, you know these words already, they make sense. They are words of their own, that's why they are splittable. So if this is a word of its own, you can split the verb if it starts with one of these words. And very often this word is even a prefix, like you learned in local preposition. Take a screenshot if you like. These verbs are not splittable. Sometimes they are, sometimes not. So for example, the green ones, they are sometimes splittable, but in case of doubt, just don't split them. And if they start with one of these syllables, they are never splittable, never split them. You can pause the video, take a screenshot of these. And here, finally, a list of the ihren words. These are verbs that end on ihren. Their Partizip 2 will always end on t, and there's no ge for these kinds of verbs. You can pause the video and take a screenshot. So, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.